Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot and welcome to today's reading. We are going to go ahead and jump in to see what is happening today, following up the readings that we had yesterday. So, yesterday we talked about this rush of this energy that feels like it's just really intense, really thick, feels like something is already happening. And so, we were looking into kind of what is it that is happening, and it's this cycle that is just kind of overwhelming them, but it was also a lot of the emotions around this cycle. So here is a person who feels like, and this is your person, feels like they've made some changes so they shouldn't have to deal with some of the feelings that they're having now, and for some reason it won't go away. They really are starting to feel frustrated, indignant, like they really should be past this. um, Maybe a feeling that's familiar to a few of you as well. So we're going to dig in and look a little bit beyond that and just kind of see what else wants to come out next. It will be a general reading for this collective, as always. Um, if it resonates with you, maybe take a look at some of the other readings that have come through and think about subscribing to the overall picture, because these are very much all together. These readings all very much come out together. So like I said yesterday, we talked about this energy that I referred to as almost kinetic. It doesn't feel like something that could happen or is going to happen, but something that is in the purpose of happening, or in the process of happening. And there's this kind of overwhelming sense of frustration, feeling like this lesson that they're up against, they should already be past it and shouldn't have to deal with it again. Like I said, they're feeling pretty indignant about this. And that was in yesterday's energy. Let's go ahead and take a look to see what is happening in today's energy between the two of you, heavy on that energetic and emotional backdrop. Sometimes we just ask for one or the other of those things, but I lately have been wanting to have both. So we've got the Father of Fire. Now, so Father of Fire, this is like the King of Wands. It's that feeling of I want to be able to control my surroundings, but there's a lot of potential in this. So this is not necessarily somebody who always feels like they have to. It is often someone who ends up in control, but they're not always feeling like they have a need to grasp for that control. So that's part of the continuum that this person is on. They may be getting to a place where they're getting a little bit better at being able to control something without feeling like they have to kind of over or to do it at any costs. We also have the Temperance card, so there's a sense of this kind of balance coming out, and this is almost like a sneak preview. It's delightful. I love when this happens. So it's got a little bit of a sneak preview energy to it. So the balance that you guys are obviously seeking, we saw a lot of that coming out in the last couple of readings. The need for balance, the need for it to move toward that happiness. We've got the Nine of Water. We've got the Star in the reverse. There is something that is holding them back, and they recognize that, and they also recognize it even as being something that is of their own design to a certain degree, of their own manufacture. So they see, I feel like what they're seeing is their fears that are associated with the big three. So when I talk about the big three, I'm talking about that the fear of rejection, abandonment, betrayal. It's a place where both you and your person are doing some work. Here, it's like they're able to say, yes, I recognize that I have this huge fear of rejection, and I'm able to think through that and work past it. And yet I also understand what I want. I feel like there's a strong element of clarity in this, and it feels like a moment of clarity for both of you. So this strikes me as kind of that. I talked about the energetic and emotional backdrop. This is energetic and emotional backdrop type of energy. But with this Father of Fire, that feels pretty much like your person not necessarily having figured out how to strike that balance with themselves around how to control things versus demand control of things. So it feels like there's kind of a couple things going on there. One's more general and one's more specific. Your person is working on figuring out how to balance within themselves, and this opportunity for balance and how just to kind of feel how it feels is already in the energy for both of you. So we've got the Queen of Swords. There's a need to remove something from the situation, and there's a lesson not yet learned. Something also relevant to the lesson of the Ten of Cups here, and a perspective not yet gained. Okay, so we're going to stop with those. I never know how many I'm going to use whenever I turn over a couple of cards. Sometimes I just want the first one, and sometimes they just keep going for a little while. So in this case, Queen of Swords, it's about needing to turn your back on something, even if it's not, there's no need for a rash decision, and that's true for both of you, but there is a need to cut something out and a need to put things into the perspective of the lessons that you're learning. With the Ten of Cups, remember this was a lesson that both of you were learning, but it has a bit of a different take for each of you. So it was, you know, with the Eight of Cups, Nine of Cups, Ten of Cups lesson, it was how do you go on a quest with the Eight of Cups for truly what it is that makes you happy. For that Nine of Cups, which we have that Nine of Water energy over here, what exactly is it that constitutes that wish fulfillment for you? And the Ten of Cups, what do you do when you run across it? Like, how do you respond to it? In your person's case, there was a tendency to run away, to get away from it. In your case, there was a tendency to want to hold on to it, maybe never let go. But there's a new perspective for both of you in this that has you both approaching Ten of Cups situations, or what could potentially be Ten of Cups situations, a little bit differently. And with this new kind of sneak preview of the balance, or it's like it feels like it's not so much a sneak preview as like a trial period of this balance. There is a moment for you where you get this moment of clarity and you get a feel for this is how things would be emotionally for me if I was this balanced. I wish I was like this every day. There will be a sense of I wish I was like this every day. And it's not necessarily likely, it's not probable that a person would be like this every day, because it's a very it's content in the middle of chaos. It doesn't mean everything in your life clears up by any stretch. It's just about your perspective and the way that you are processing it and kind of how you're feeling it. So again, we have the Star here coming out in the reverse. And it's relevant to this Ten of Wands, because I will say that the Ten of Wands has been very much about carrying too much, not being sure what to do with some of what you're finding, not knowing which things you need to pick up and which things you need to set down, and just kind of carrying it all as a result. With the Star here is saying that's actually a behavior that's starting to hold you back. So there's a need to kind of get real with yourself and with themselves about what you're going to carry and what you're not going to carry. Has to do with, as we've seen before, what is that level of responsibility that you have in a situation? How much is it your responsibility? How much influence do you have over it? So how much can you change it? And then what is your investment emotionally? How much do you care about it going a certain way? Those are all things that help you decide when you get to a decision about, what is this a me problem, or is this a someone else kind of issue. So we've got a Tower coming, which means there is maybe some redefinition about what constitutes a you problem versus a someone else problem. So keep that in mind. But with the Queen of Wands, it's a little bit more of that sense of, hey, I'm not necessarily going to make any decisions quickly, and I'm going to understand why it is that I'm doing what I'm doing. This is fantastic energy. It seems to come in a little bit with this moment of clarity. So this is, if you wake up and you feel like, you know what, I may not be doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing, but I at least know what it is. That's a big piece right there. And there's a strong sense in here of being able to do that, or at least being able to kind of feel what you would ideally be doing. You've got the Six of Pentacles here, which feels like a strong ability to determine if something is going to be worthwhile for you before you get to it. So it's this feeling of being able to ascertain whether something will be worthy of your time and attention. Oh, supposed to stop there. Worthy of your time and attention even before you get too far into it. And with the Six of Pentacles, kind of like we were seeing yesterday, and I can't remember if this was now in yesterday's YouTube or in yesterday's extended, but there was a sense of things have changed for you, as in you are no longer going to accept certain levels of energetic exchange. And so it means that it kind of rules out certain elements for you. There will be people that you will not really be likely to deal with, because you'll be aware that they are unlikely to bring the type of energetic exchange that you require. It's not a bad thing. It's not a judgment. It's really about knowing yourself more than anything else. Um, so, we saw a lot about there being a strong need for balance. Balance showed up again in the extended. The balance, though, was subservient to and felt like it was only kind of playing along with that desire to control the situation and ensure that they kind of come out of it unscathed. So there was that egoistic piece of it. I need to make sure that I look a certain way, that I'm coming across a certain way, that that my emotions only look a certain way. And remember, they keep having to make changes to their perspective. So trying to figure out, well, wait, what does success look like? What does that certain way look like? They keep having to make changes to their perspective of the situation as more things pop up for them to heal from and to kind of deal with, and that's feels like it's knocking them off their game. So they kind of still don't realize how capable they are, that they have become from the work that they've done. They still don't exactly know how to use what they've learned, really. So we see that they're going through this cycle again. That was one of the things that we saw in yesterday's energy. It was the energy of that same cycle, but not necessarily the same way. So they're going through it as a different person, and it has this different impact on them as a result. So it's a feeling of moving toward balance, but maybe not always being a graceful trip. Um, let's get a feel for that trip. Let's get a feel for that and kind of the impact that it's having on them. So, you have a ringside seat, or maybe like an inside the ring seat for some of what's happening with you specifically. But let's get a feel for what's happening towards your person with regard to this, because it feels like they're making shifts and changes, and it feels like you're kind of going along with them on this ride. So might be beneficial to understand a little bit more of kind of it's a little bit more of what's happening from that DM perspective. And we'll see if maybe some messages want to come out in the meantime. So first thing we see is that messages want to come out. This is that High Priestess. High Priestess is about secrets. And in this case, it's about not feeling a need to keep secrets, or having a need to discuss it. Or no, you know what? It's more than just needing to discuss it. It's feeling like like they need a thought partner. And I went ahead and pulled out the Tarot of the Spirit. That's this one, the one that I'm using for the main deck here. Tarot of the Spirit. I was trying to describe it yesterday. I think it was in the main reading, and it talked about like the Seven of Swords card that comes out, and it's all of these serpents, and it talks about many tongues, because that was kind of the situation or the feel for it. And so if we see the Seven of Swords come out, or the Seven of Wind come out in this deck, I'll show it to you, because it kind of still reminds me. I still feel it a little bit as far as something that is impacting your person. And I feel it a little bit here with this Lovers in reverse, because I feel like it's part of what's relevant to the Lovers in reverse. I'm not supposed to pull another card out of this deck, but I almost feel like if I did, it could be that Seven of Swords in reverse, or in the upright, very much in the upright, because it feels like other people having a say in it. There's something about being impacted by other people's words, and they want you to know about this. There is a strong message component. They wish they had a thought partner. They wish they could have you as a thought partner, but they don't feel like they have the option for that. There's something about this that makes it inherently impossible for you to be that thought partner. And yet, here we are again with this Ten of Swords. So we see the Ten of Swords come up. Oh my goodness, so much. We're just going to keep going with this. But the Ten of Swords comes up talking about how this is a person who really values you. You are part of what makes them, you make them feel like there is a solution to some of what has bothered them, basically since before, since before they could remember. That they aren't able to walk through that door, because once again, remember that door that you leave open but not watching to see if they're coming through it. They are able to walk up to that door but not walk all the way through it. There's something here about And it's really about this King of Cups. It's that feeling of needing to control the situation, control the narrative, make sure that they look a certain way. I expect to see, um, next, I half expected to see the Hierophant coming out in the reverse because it's got that feeling of, oh gosh, it's got that feeling of someone giving advice that says, hey, you better make sure you look a certain way. But this is that feeling like they don't really need to be told. This is somebody who, um, wants to be sure that they don't look too emotionally invested, wants to be make sure that their ego is there to protect them, but also that their ego can protect them. So in order to do that, they don't want to make any sudden moves, and this is part of what has them not committing. This Ace of Pentacles feels like a lack of commitment to the situation. It's not even necessarily that you're asking for a commitment from them about a relationship, but could you just be consistent about the way you talk to me so that I don't feel like you're going to drop back off the face of the earth all the time? And this is basically saying they're not ready to make that commitment even yet. They're still very inconsistent. But this Six of Pentacles over here has that strong sense to it that you know better than to allow yourself to be treated that way, because it results in additional work, emotional work that you're going to have to do on yourself or for yourself. There's a lot that kind of is packed into this, but so much with regard to this charismatic coming forth. You know, this is a person who really feels at home in your energy, and they feel like they didn't mean to, though, because like with the Four of Cups, and this is fabulous. The Four of Cups, they were very much attracted to your energy, which is that Nine of Pentacles. I've got this sort of energy. They were very attracted to it, and they thought they knew what they were getting themselves into. But what happened was, as they got closer, they kind of got drawn in a way that they did not anticipate. And so it ended up being more of a draw than they were ready for. They decided to go ahead and jump in with both feet, and then something happened that caused them to become truly rattled and truly concerned. And it feels like they felt concerned for their, like, I know it sounds really dramatic, but it's almost like they were concerned for their sanity. They didn't feel like they could mentally accommodate the way that you were making them feel in some way. And it was just, again, they don't feel like they have choices here. There's a strong sense of feeling like they had to shut off the emotions. And right now, what I feel like is this feeling of them reliving it almost. Yesterday, when we got into the extended, one of the things that really came out about here's how you find that balance, because it was at the heart of what we asked there. One of the things that really came out, thinking about, you know, how to find that balance, it had, I don't know. I'm gonna sit on that for a second. I'm gonna sit on that observation for a second, because I'm not sure if it's truly connected. Um, there's a lot of kind of having to work through the individual work, before you're able to come through and truly work together on the pieces where you're able to bring your healed selves or more healed selves together. So you'll never be totally healed, but there is a need to do some of that work kind of in separation or in separate places enough that the guards can come down, because right now there's a lot of guarding on your person's side in particular, and just kind of trying to figure out how to get to a place where they can feel more comfortable. But right now there's still a lot of not feeling like there's any choice. They feel like they're lacking choice, but some of the decisions that they're making about their lives, so they're making these kind of more intentional choices around their lives right now. But they're not necessarily feeling good about those choices, not necessarily. So with the Devil in the reverse, there's a feeling of like, okay, so it's like if you quit drinking and then you make a bunch of plans that don't involve drinking, and you feel like you've done the right thing and you've taken things into your own hands, like with the Magician here. Then you feel like these are right things to do, but they're still destroying kind of your way of life. The Ten of Pentacles talks about the way of life going away or changing. The Five of Pentacles talks about doing it for the right reason. The Magician talks about having the capacity for it. And the Devil talks about, listen, this is actually a really good decision. It's just hard to make, and there's nothing pleasant about it. So There's a period of transition that needs to occur here, and there's a lot to it. There's a lot to emotionally making the transitions that your person is in the process of making right now. Um, I get that. So you're feeling them heavily in this energy. And this may be one of the reasons why I'm getting the notes that I'm getting about how thick and intense the energy is. And, the momentum of it, I get how it feels like it's already happening. But one of the reasons it's just dripping with their energy and very difficult to ignore, even as you're going through your day. Even if you are somebody who's kind of been in this situation for some time, it feels like it rises above and beyond the usual level of frustration that you might get in this situation. So let's look into you, because I think we're going to go into the extended, and as we go into the extended, um we're looking to see kind of your person's position and where they are with this, but there's these divine masculine messages that seem like they really want to come out. So I feel like when we get into there, we'll get into the divine masculine messages. This is what's impacting those messages and kind of the place where those are coming from. But we'll get into the extended and see what some of those messages are. Let's do the portion of the reading that's about you first. See what's impacting you and what you should be maybe focused on the most, given what we have here on the table already. What is your area of focus? And it's good to look at this every time, because we have so many situations. Sorry about the noise in the background. The dog is against the door and like scratching. So I think she's done. Um, anyway, we have so many lessons that you're in the process of working through, that seeing each time, well, what should be the focus for today, can be very helpful. So that's essentially what this is. You've got the karma card in the reverse. Something feels like it's a little out of balance, but because of this energy over here, this energetic backdrop of this moment of clarity, this may be a really great time to be seeing that things are a little bit out of balance or that they need to be changed. We have the crossing, Two of Wind. This is very much that feeling of that same Two of Swords that we've been seeing come out since, especially since the beginning of the year. And we've been seeing a lot of it even before the beginning of the year, honestly, but we've seen a lot here recently. It's about decisions that are in the process of being made. Some of them are very challenging. A lot of them are about how you plan to spend your time and what the best things are for you. It's all about where you want to invest your efforts, where you want to invest your energy for your future and for the future of the people and the things that you most value. So it's about thinking before you act, beginning with the end in mind. And I get a strong journaling vibe on this. So it's not just, hey, let's recommend that you journal, but also let's go back and see some of the things that maybe you have seen fit to journal in the past. It feels like there's something in there that might be of use to you. So if you've been somebody who has journaled in the past, go back and read some of it, because something's going to hit you a little bit differently than what it has. You have, Nine of Cups and Page of Cups. Okay, so something is going to make you unhappy. You're going to realize that there's something in your life that is difficult to get out of. So you get a taste of your person's medicine here, but nowhere near as intense. It's a feeling of something that's in your life that you're going to want to get out of your life. But by the same token, it is not necessarily something that controls you as much. So your person has like something epic happening over here where they're getting out from under the control of something huge, but there's still all of this element of egoistic control that they kind of are very much held down by. With the Nine of Cups, this is, you are realizing that you kind of have something in your life that you want to make a change about. You're quiet about this for now. I see you being quiet about it, not yet making the change because maybe it's not the right time for it. But I don't even see you talking about it. So if this is something where you're like, ooh, I'm going to have to do something eventually, you may not even be telling your closest friends. And it may create quite a change for you. Something where I feel like telling people is going to actually be beneficial for you with this Queen of Pentacles and the way that it comes up. I feel like it'll be beneficial when you decide that you're going to bring people in, but don't bring it in. Don't bring people in just because you said that or just because I said that. Instead, it's more a matter of um, be aware that you may feel better when you talk about it. It's almost got that kind of feeling to it where you'll just feel better when you talk about it. But it is something that is changing your way of life as well. So both you and your person have that in common. Something about your way of life is changing. They're making some changes here that feel like uncomfortable changes. Yours, again, don't feel quite as uncomfortable. You have this lesser version, and not by, when I say lesser, I mean it's impacting you less. You're still very much being concerned about it. There's a feeling of not quite trusting the outcomes, and there's a need to trust the outcomes. So once again, sometimes it's a matter of, you know, that something's likely to happen. You don't know when it's likely to happen. It's okay to just let go and not worry about when that something is going to happen. Same here with the Six of Cups. It's not necessarily worth looking back and saying, what's the pattern been? And I'm not saying you're doing this, but what's the pattern been with this person reaching out to me? Oh, they reach out every 3 months. Well, I'm going to expect them in another 3 months. I would say just abandon the pattern. Don't worry about it. This is all about moving forward, letting go, trying something new. It reminds me of being in the deep end of the pool, feeling confident about your swimming skills, and pushing off and kind of getting away from the side, trying something that's now it's got its own set of rules, and you're no longer putting things in a framework that has happened in the past. There's something, and this Two of Wands, wherever that was, it's an honorable, I think it's an honorable mention. It'll come back out if it's supposed to, but this has to do with that. This has to do with you're making some realignments in your way of thinking. There it is. You're making some realignments in your way of thinking, and this is a matter of now all of a sudden this Four of Swords is relevant too. You're making some realignments in your way of thinking. It's maybe kind of cleaning up some, again, inconsistencies between values and places where you've begun to build some of your own emotions and thoughts. You have some healing that's going to get kicked up for you here. I don't feel like it's the end of the world. Doesn't feel like it's all that painful, but it may be a little bit, you may characterize it as part of this overall tower that you're starting to experience. So this feels like, for you, for your person, it's anybody's guess, but for you, it kind of feels like it's a super slow motion tower. Your person, it could take many forms. And so it depends on the way that they decide to move forward toward this. And we may learn a little bit more of that when we look into their messages. But for you, it feels like a slow motion tower, and that's fine. So again, here with the slow motion, with the slowness, you are encouraged to kind of just roll with it, allow it to happen. There is a need for you to, you're going to wrap up something. You're going to wrap up something, and it's going to be a place of learning how to control something that you've never had the ability to control, and you may not even have realized that you ever would be able to control it. So there's something really positive happening here with the World and the Emperor. The World card, though, it's got a sense of an unlimited sort of feeling. So you're going to have a capacity coming out of this, out of some situation. It's not necessarily the situation with your person. This could very much be a third party situation. Could be one of those new opportunities that's come out here for you, but you're going to have something where you're coming out the other side with a whole new perspective and something that you really did not see coming. Much more positive, much broader, gives you more options, but also options that you know what to do with. So there's a lot of great things kind of evolving for you here. The big thing that I keep hearing is don't try and rush it. This is really going to have to happen. It all falls to place in its own time. Don't try to rush it, and don't fall prey to the overthinking. So, we're going to go ahead and jump into the extended now, where we're going to get some divine masculine messages. Given that this is kind of the environment where the energetic environment where they're operating, let's see what it is that they are kind of thinking and feeling about it. So that's what we'll do when we get into the extended. The link is down below if you would like to follow me there. Otherwise, I will see you again in tomorrow's reading.